Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of Where Have All the Flower Children Gone? Now before I begin reading part 2 of Bronte's blog, I just want to address a couple of comments that were left on the first video in regards to meditation. Now, just to clarify, I am not against meditation. I think it is something we should all do regularly. However, what I am seeing are people who are using meditation as a way to escape into an illusion and then claim that this is somehow helping Mother Earth or humanity. I'm also seeing self-proclaimed gurus charging obscene amounts of money to give people instructions on how to reach enlightenment or transcend this earthly realm. This is why Bronte's experiences are so important to learn from. The same movement we see now in the New Age community was happening back then too. All the promises were made to these people too on how meditation was going to change the world and bring in a golden age. It seems that the New Age movement was infiltrated back then by those with an agenda, and I see it now too. People being told to do nothing, only go within to make change. How attractive is that to most? Not to have to deal with reality, but to ignore it completely for illusion under the guise that they are making a difference in alleviating the pain and suffering of others. How very convenient this is for the power elite, when they have those who are awakening being told that their apathy is in fact empowerment. We need to think about this and the implications that it has in these times. Now I will begin reading from Bronte's blog. At the time, we teachers convinced ourselves that we weren't being deceptive. Maharishi said the initiates would understand in time, after their consciousness was raised through meditation. He repeatedly told us that transcendental meditation was not a religion, as if saying it enough would make it so. But when the transcendental meditation siddhis started, things got even more religious. We were instructed to read prayers to the gods after every meditation and to listen to audio tapes of chants to Hindu deities as we fell asleep at night. Maharishi reassured us the gods are not actual personal entities, but impulses of creative intelligence that exist within ourselves. The fact that Hinduism anthropomorphizes deities just signals immature consciousness, he said, and that, of course, was something the movement was far too sophisticated to be guilty of. The changes in the movement were so gradual that I hardly blinked an eye the day I got my own advanced technique, which consisted of adding the Sanskrit word namah to my original mantra. I didn't quite understand, as I was told the mantras were meaningless sounds that have a beneficial effect on the nervous system. I didn't know any translation for my mantra, Ima, but I did know from the puja what namah meant in English. It means I bow down. So who was I bowing down to, I wondered. Well, it must be a god. Ima must be a name for her, and she must be my escort on the path to higher consciousness. Another hidden teaching, obvious only to an advanced spiritual aspirant. I felt privileged and superior to be let in on the secret. Around this time in the movement, many people started to complain of physical problems, as well as irritability and depression. Once I was assigned to spend the night guarding one meditator who had been sent home from the Siddhi course because she was unstable. She was being shipped out the following day, and of course leaders were concerned that she might harm herself or create an embarrassing scene in the meantime, hence her need for a guard. In 1978, an article appeared in Psychology Today reporting that a substantial number of individuals developed anxiety, depression, physical and mental tension, and other adverse effects from meditating. San Francisco Examiner, September 10, 1989. The scientific criticism was just starting. While over 100 studies have been done by transcendental meditation scientists showing outstanding benefits from TM for mind and body, new studies by independent researchers failed to corroborate such claims. Some new studies even suggested adverse mental and physical effects resulting from meditation, depersonalization, the onset of mental difficulties, and psychological disorders. TM was accused of failing to conduct double-blind experiments and of influencing test results with the prejudice of the tester. One insider, a friend of mine who was exceptionally devoted to Maharishi and who worked with TM psychologists as their research assistant, became shaken and left the moment when she found the scientists she worked with doctoring test results to make them better conform to Maharishi's desired outcomes. Around this time, people started leaving the movement, but most of us held strong. A meditating community had sprung up in Fairfield, Iowa, within the borders of the Maharishi International University. The town became home to thousands of meditators, teachers, TM governors, many of whom had a hard time fitting into normal jobs and living situations in the world. We were told to meditate and fly together daily. This was the new strategy to create world peace as well as success in our lives. Maharishi began men's and women's monastic groups, the Purusha and Mother Divine programs, and encouraged people to join them as the most rapid lifestyle for unfolding enlightenment. People gave up dreams of love and a family to follow their guru's advice, believing they were serving their enlightenment and the highest social good. My best friend, intensely in love with her husband, was divorced by him when the monastic program started. He became a celibate while my friend tried to live as a nun with her broken heart. Within months, she developed cancer, dying a couple of years later. She forewent Western treatment to pursue an alternative healing system, Ayurveda, India's ancient world medicine, which then was being revived by the Maharishi. Her physician was Deepak Chopra at the time, TM's poster boy, and its leading Ayurvedic physician. My friend Sharon withered away and died, but Ayurveda grew in popularity. What troubled me most about the movement in the 80s was the growing sense of subterfuge and surveillance amidst an atmosphere of increasingly artificial positivity. Movement leaders instructed the rank and file to never entertain negativity, which meant never criticize and always wear a happy face. There was a sense that we were being watched, and unknown people within the organization had been assigned as spies on the rest of us. Any person suspected of entertaining doubts about Maharishi and the movement or visiting other spiritual teachers would find themselves refused admittance to new courses or group meditations in the central flying hall. The outcasts were never told what they had done to merit excommunication. You know, was the cryptic reply, or reapply in a few months, whenever the rejects asked. But what did I do? The significance of being tossed out by the TM movement was devastating to those it had happened to. The depth of their turmoil can only be fathomed by understanding that Maharishi was teaching then that 2 20-minute meditations a day no longer would cut it. Regular, expensive, advanced courses and meditating with the group in the flying hall had become prerequisites, not only for world peace, but also personal salvation. Unless you wanted to be condemned to many future lifetimes of ignorance and suffering, it was vital to keep up the program. Our goal was liberation, enlightenment, an egoless state where blissful, pure consciousness suffices the awareness of all times, trivializing everything that used to seem important. In enlightenment, nothing touches you. Success and loss don't affect you. Because liberation in this lifetime required staying on the good side of the TM Gestapo people, becoming artificial and prone to quoting movement slogans in front of each other. Everyone wanted to appear kosher so they could stay on campus and evolve. The movie Man on the Moon depicts what happened to Andy Kaufman, a Hollywood comedian and TM governor, who after years of the movement involvement was found to be mysteriously wanting. There is a scene where a smiling TM Sympathy administrator informs him he is not welcome on Maharishi's campus anymore, no reason given. For an earnest meditator, that was like telling a cancer patient the drug he needs to live is being withdrawn. In 1987, when I left TM and Fairfield, I had lived 17 years with the movement's perimeters. I had seen the world go from flower power to mantra power, My friends had changed from buoyant folks delighting in free expression to paranoid people with phony smiles and legislated attitudes. It took me 2 years to break free of that thinking that kept me in the Marihishi's orbit. It felt traumatic, like a failed marriage. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew it could no longer be part of it. In the 20 years since I have left transcendental meditation movement, Maharishi raised the price for learning to meditate into the thousands. Disciples able and willing to kick $1 million apiece were offered in the last years of the Guru's life proximity to him, a golden crown to wear, and the title of Raja or King. Maharishi had created a world government he called the Global Country of World Peace, and his Rajas are the rulers. I've come to personally know 2 women who confide that they were sexually propositioned by the lifelong monk. One of Marihishi's closest disciples from the 70s, a Swedish man named Connie Larsson, published an autobiography in which he says he left the TM movement when he realized the girls who came into Marihishi's room in the wee hours, leaving disheveled, weren't really in there reading him his mail. Since Marihishi's death last February, one of his former girlfriends, Linda Pierce, is expected to come forward with her full story. In the years since I left the movement, the truth about the mantras has also came out. The mantras in which Maharishi gave to the teachers to give in turn to the lower initiates turn out to be meaningless sounds with life-supporting qualities, as he said. Turn out not to be, meaningless sounds with the life-supporting qualities, as he said. They are rather names of Hindu gods, a fact made public with the advent of the internet. Wikipedia, in its section on mantras, lists 3 of the mantras Maharishi gave me and other teachers to dispense. Im, Hrim, and Shrem. Im, says Wikipedia, is a Hindu goddess Saraswati. Hirim is the goddess Durga, and Shirim is the goddess Kali. Wikipedia quotes these facts from the Shakti Mantras by Thomas Ashley Farrand. This international perception by Maharishi, perpetuated on his teachers and through them on the public, is to me the worst thing this man of God did to society. Through his lie, telling us that the mantras were meaningless sounds, Maharishi got unsuspecting Westerners to worship his gods under the guise of teaching them a simple relaxation technique. This is even more reprehensible than sex seduction of young disciples. He seduced the minds of 6 million people, or should we call it rape. I've written elsewhere about the hidden agenda of mantra meditation, how it connects with the psychic realms, and why it is important to Maharishi to pass this lie off to the world. The power of recitation in the name of God in meditation is very real power indeed. It connects a person to trans-physical dimensions where vital energy is siphoned off, eventually crippling and destroying the personality. And its individual identity disintegrates. The meditator continues his practice because he's told the implosion is a good thing. Oneness, consciousness is taking the place of his formerly limited self. He is nearing his God, universal awareness, the death of ego, annihilation of the illusion of I. That is why the flower children disappeared. Maharishi transformed a generation of dissenters, the hippie generation, into pimps for the gods. He turned their spiritual yearnings into spiritual servitude. The ambitions of the 60s and 70s youth to make a better world was undermined first by drugs, then mantras that freed from drugs but turned the saved into thralls of invisible forces, grateful thralls to boot, who would always remember that they were rescued and how much they owed to the Guru. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, diverter of the seekers, seducer of the minds, stealer of the souls. Any of these would be an appropriate epitaph. The mainstreaming of meditation in Western culture is this man's questionable legacy. So there is a lot of food for thought there in that blog, and as I said, I'm going to put the link underneath and you can have a look at Bronte's blog in more detail. It's very involved, and this is just but one chapter. So as we can see, that meditation and these false illusions of reaching enlightenment due to the instruction of the so-called gurus is something that is very dangerous, time-consuming, as well as costly for some people. And it not only costs them money, but it can sometimes cost them their loved ones. So something for all of us to keep in mind. All right, guys, well, I will leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed me reading that blog, and I hope you understand why I'm reading that blog too. So peace out.